talking basketball. They're fucking dumb as shit. They don't know basketball, but they will make dumb ass jokes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pod Don't Lie with just Stav this month. Sam is on hiatus doing some shit. He'll come back. He'll tell you all about it. And look, I don't want to do this episode. Okay, there was nothing in me that wanted to fucking wake up. Basketball is dead to me. Okay, I don't even like it that much. I realize it's a stupid sport. The NBA is fixed. I don't care. But listen, I knew I couldn't delay longer. And also, you fucking animals, I was traveling, so I wasn't really ducking you, you Boston pieces of shit. And don't think, by the way, just because the Bucks lost, that I'm going to stop hating or I'm going to admit anything I said earlier was wrong, because I'm fucking not. And we're going to get into the intricacies and the reasons why I'm not going to do that throughout this podcast. Boston can still suck my dick. I'm still rooting for your downfall. And there were plenty of reasons the Bucks should have won. I'm one of those guys. Here's the reasons why the Bucks should have won, and I'm going to cling to them with fucking for dear life. And I'm never going to give you credit, even if you win the championship. So let's be clear: the hating hasn't stopped because you got a fluke win in the playoffs. This, what was it, a couple days ago? I don't know. I'm pretty fucked up. I took an edible late last night, and it didn't kick in, and it kicked in while I was sleeping. So it's early here on the West Coast, but I couldn't duck you any longer. The fucking second round starts today. The game starts today. So we're here for a post-mortem of our teams, and we're here to do a light little fucking preview. And I couldn't do another one by myself back to back. I would have lost my mind. So we brought on our pal, Ben Detrick from Cookies Hoops. Benny boy, what's up, brother?
I'm good. You know, I'm as a Sixers fan, I can understand the sense of grief that seems to be pulsing through your arteries.
Yes.
But look, I think we're going to get into it more, but let me say this just as a little bit of a way to salve your wounds.
Please, is that I need it.
The Celtics, to me, were exposed. It took them seven games.
Seven
games.
That's what I like to hear.
A horrifically undermanned Bucks team. That was a husk of the championship team that we saw last year. So, the Celtics, 7 games. That's a deeply unserious team.
They're a clown show over there, as far as I'm concerned. And let's really get into. And look, this is nice. I brought you on because I wanted to find. Well, before I knew how the Suns Mavs game was going to go, I thought Sixers fans would be the fans the most devastated out of this series, because like Memphis, Ja's hurt. You still kind of played a little, you showed that team really kind of showed what it was made of, I think, in that series, even pushing the Warriors to 6 after, getting a couple. I mean, pushing the Warriors to 6 was kind of crazy. Everyone was kind of expecting that game to just stop at 5. They kind of mini exposed the Warriors, in my opinion. And
everyone, in my opinion, has been exposed.
Yeah, everyone's exposed. No one's good.
Everyone is.
They're all frauds.
Pretenders to the throne, unlike last year's Milwaukee Bucks.
Last year's Milwaukee Bucks that didn't get any injury luck.
Truly the only real champion, and probably
honestly the only
deserves to remain it until at least next season.
I'll give one LeBron Heat championship is real. I'll give this is none of the Warriors championships are real. They're all fraudulent. They all have huge asterisks. And by the way, Boston, if you win, enjoy the Khris Middleton was hurt asterisk, which you'll have to wear around your neck like a millstone, you fucking pieces of shit.
Just sadly at their victory parade with this albatross perched on their shoulders.
Middleton will be looming over any championship parade, you fucking animals. Okay,
Vector.
Yeah, just
Khris Middleton.
Khris Middleton and his little bunny teeth. His little bunny face will be fucking haunting you. Anyway, that is what I believe on some level. I do. Okay, here's the real. And to finish what I was saying, the Sixers are probably the I thought were going to be the most devastated. The Suns, after that fucking game 7, it's so rare that a loss is so bad that it just like completely destroys the season. And that's what we saw. Like that loss is like completely nullifies. Like I was seeing that loss was so bad. I was seeing like pictures of the buttonholes or Hawks posted and being like, CP and Book tonight. And it was like Kyle Korver and like they were calling them such frauds. It was awesome. But they weren't last year. They were very tough out last year, and beating them in the finals, that meant something. Let's be very clear.
Yeah, different team.
Different team. They had campaign was good that year randomly. And he seems to have fucking lost his juice. But anyway, so it feels good because look, as much as that loss sucks, I really do believe, and this is fucking crazy. It's not crazy, but I just think like Middleton is the difference in that series in a real. I know I'm still being a hater in like, and I'm trying to mask it. You know when you oversell something, so now it's like you sound more reasonable when you say the actual insane thing that you want to say. I started out hot so that me coming down to earth will be like, now let's be real about this. They really would have won if Middleton.
Yeah, it's like the bowl of cucumbers with like a Szechuan meal.
yeah.
Giving us nothing but spice, and now here's a little
some refreshing
cleanser.
Yeah, which is actually the same thing. But I fully in my heart, this is my hating sports fandom where I'm like, fuck them. Okay, let's talk about the actual games because I haven't been on here since game 6 and 7.
Okay. Let's just get this straight. We're going to talk about Milwaukee. We're going to get this done with, and then we're going to move on.
And then we're going to move on.
Starting to talk about the Sixers. You're talking about the Suns.
Yeah.
Let's just do this cathartic moment here and
get it all out of the way. Let's get me through this. Game 6 is the hardest one to swallow because that's the one that felt like truly like we needed Middleton because it was the kind of, or I'm sorry, that's not true. That reared its head in game 4, probably when Drew just kind of disappeared and Giannis had that third quarter. He was unbelievable. Giannis was 40 and 16, whatever he was. But it was clear that the score, like that's the one that haunts me, right? And then even game 6, Giannis was absolutely on one, but it's like Jason Tatum played his one good game of the series. Oh, it must be real easy, Jason Tatum, to only have to do. Giannis had to play like that every fucking game for the Bucks to have a chance because his number 2 was gone with an MCL sprain. Everyone's sucking Tatum off because he has one Giannis level game the whole series. And that did hurt, I have to admit, because it felt the momentum was feeling good. And it did hurt because I did watch Jason Tatum do the thing everyone claimed he was capable of. And I was hating on him and hoping he wasn't.
Well, look, I think Tatum's a solid player, but every time he has a great game, people say this is Jason Tatum.
Yeah.
When he goes 4 of 27, people are like, that's not Jason Tatum. No. That's a fraudulent Jason Tatum. The one that I know, the one that I love is the one who puts up 45. That's the real, authentic, genuine Tatum right there.
And it does hurt that he did play so good that even I have to be like, damn, that was a good game. Because it was like, in the moments, I hate to begrudgingly suck him off, but it was feeling like the Bucks were going to come back. Giannis was playing unbelievable. And it's at home and they got it down to, I want to say 4 in the fourth quarter. I mean, it was close. I mean, it might have even been a 1 possession game at one point. And then fucking Tatum just went on his little fucking run in an elimination game. Got to give him credit for that one. That one was tough, but it's like, all right, Tatum was due for one of those. But and I just still believe though, Middleton gave the Bucks somebody else to guard those guys with, and some offense. I mean, this series, Giannis is superhuman. He's never fucking tired. And this series, he was tired every fucking game.
Well, I think with this will apply when we talk about the Sixers as well. But I think what Middleton supplies for the Bucks is some other shit. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Like, okay, we're just going to have Giannis try to run at you in transition. And there's only so much you can do about that as a defense. But in the half court, you can stymie that. You can put 3 guys in the lane. You can run doubles at him and just turn him into a passer. Like, just overwhelm him with like humanity. There are teeming masses there waiting for him. They're trying to get him to, draw a charge, etc. Middleton doesn't allow you to do that because he's too good of a mid-range shooter. He's a good passer. He can run some pick and rolls. Like, just having him there in that kind of nebulous, spongy area where he likes to just sort of flow into, whether it's a 3 or a 16-footer. Without that, it was kind of just Giannis plowing his way into the lane, and then Holiday trying to create for himself, and he just isn't that kind of scorer. Yeah. If I'm Boston, I'm like so content with Drew Holiday just taking shots. You just like take a 3, drive it to the lane. Honestly, just shoot, man. It's cool. They were just missing that kind of like middle balance between those two things, which of course is where like Chris's game is really defined by.
Perfect. And it shows, I think it also shows how beautifully this trio does fit together, because there is like a balance to their game where it's like, Drew, they're all good defensive players, and their offense, like you just said, it's like Middleton is the missing piece between them. He just makes everything easier for both of those guys. I don't know. It was just like, and it's like, and even like when everything breaks down, Middleton's the best one-on-one player on the roster, where it's like, all right, fucking 8 seconds, whatever we tried to go. Grant Williams is being a stout little piece of shit this possession. Let's kick it back out. And it's like, that was what Middleton was going to fucking shine doing. Yeah,
but Giannis really handles the transition element, and Middleton is there for the half court game. And, when you're going against a team that has like a good defense, half court defenses are hard to score on. I don't think people understand how big a difference there is between like points per possession in transition and in the half court. It's like shocking.
Yeah.
It's like 1.2 is like that's solid transition scoring. 1 point per possession is best in the NBA. In the half court.
Yeah.
So when you look at the Bucks, like they just couldn't score. When the Celtics scored like over 103 points or something, arbitrary, like pretty good. The Bucks kind of just couldn't hang with them.
I know, it was fucking brutal, and it's and I guess like let's finish the actual game. So just let's recap Game 7 real fast, and then I'll talk about my gripes with the Bucks organization. That's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to say they should have won, and I'm going to deflect all fucking fault from the players, which I actually think in this case is true. I do think this Bucks team played about as good as they could have. Game 7 was really tough because it starts out and Giannis is just fucking dealing. I mean, he looked so good in that first quarter, and in a way where I was like, oh my God, is this like, I'm watching that first quarter. I'm like, we're watching another like foundational block in the Giannis legacy. Like that's what I thought after that.
For something like 48, 32, and 24.
Yeah, it was insane, dude. It was insane. He had, I think, 7 assists in the first quarter, 7 and 10, and he had like a ton of rebounds. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if this motherfucker figures out how to like do what Chris Paul does, where it's like he's the point guard, he's the facilitator for 3 quarters, 2.5 quarters, and then he turns it on in the fourth. That's kind of what I was hoping, because he was so tired. Like every single game, Bud is taking timeouts, and it's not for strategy. It's for like, fuck, Giannis is going to die. He needs 30 seconds to just fucking chill. Grayson Allen is he's covering every Grayson Allen getting burned. I mean, that cocksucker was playing way too much in the final 2 games. But anyway, that fell apart.
You like to see it. You like to see good guys out there.
Yeah. I know. That was brutal. That falls apart. And then it's like the team just kind of got a little unglued. Bobby's in fucking foul trouble. And Bobby, you could see, was like, I love the energy. I love everything about him. But it was like, you could tell the team was like in desperation mode, because Bobby, who's a very like fucking, spirited guy, he was kind of trying to get his own a little too much. Like I think he felt like his teammates were being scared, and Bobby's obviously never scared, but he was a little fucking erratic. Pat Connaughton, who was shooting like 45 for the playoffs, couldn't fucking hit a 3-pointer. And like, just like fucking George Hill off a back injury was playing like when they needed someone to guard Jason Tatum, was getting subbed in for defensive possessions. It's like, George Hill, are we out of our fucking minds here? And so it just all fell apart in Game 7 with Giannis tired.
I'm going to give you the most boring, dreary take, and it's not even original. It's like when you shoot 12%.
Yes, exactly.
You're going to lose. And when you let the other team take 50 threes and make 40% of them. But I also will say that isn't really the story of that game to me, because Boston was getting whatever they wanted. They were just wide open looks. Like what's his name? Grant Williams just standing there like
Grant Williams got
15 seconds, like checking the air, licking his finger, threes. Just as long as he actually wanted to take them. And then the looks that Milwaukee got were not that good. They were not getting. I mean, they bricked the ones that were open.
Right. So you're right.
It wasn't as simple as like they made their shots, we didn't. But ultimately, as far as the results go, 12, 13% of your threes versus 40%.
Yeah. No, this is true.
That's just a hard L.
And that's that is the problem with Game 7s. Ultimately, sometimes we get, a classic, and sometimes we get everyone playing at the top of their game. But it's like sometimes it's a weird game for one of the teams. And I think you're right. The defense, like Boston hit all their fucking shots when clearly Bud wanted to double down on their like defensive, because they were the rim. Lopez and Giannis were doing a great job at the rim. Lopez in particular played incredible this game. Just this series, like he was like, he didn't play fucking Al Horford good. That fucking piece of shit found the fountain. That's the other thing. It's like, we're the fucking Al Horford game. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? He's fucking whatever he is. He was anyway. Whatever. Series over. Boston goes on. It hurt. This doesn't hurt as much if it's not Boston, because it's like, I will say, like, I'm looking at this and it's like, I don't see one team. Before Phoenix, I thought Phoenix was going to be a juggernaut. I thought they were going to win, or I thought the Bucks were going to beat Phoenix, and that Phoenix could beat anybody else. But clearly that wasn't fucking true. And now it's like, I don't believe it. Like, we literally, how we started this podcast, the hot take, ironic version. At the end of the day, I believe all of it. Where it's like everyone here is a little fraudulent. Like, no one here is a juggernaut. And I'm like, fuck, Boston really has a good chance at winning. And that's what hurts. It's like Giannis was a soldier in the war against Boston happiness. He was like a tactical nuke. And I'm just a foot soldier. And I'm like, please let it work. And then it was like, that was our best shot. And now it's like, they took it. And now they're keeping going. And now I have to root for the Heat.
That's fine. We're all Heat day ones right now. White hot, baby. Well, I have a question about Giannis here, and maybe this is just because he had so much responsibility on the offensive end, so he was getting tired, he was weary, fatigued, etc. When Brook was out there, how come they don't put Giannis on Tatum? Like, how come he didn't guard Durant either? Is this guy one defensive player of the year? You are king. Over my guy, Ben Simmons. They gave it to Giannis. How come he never guards star forwards? What's that about?
Well, I think, first of all, he was doing it a little bit in the regular season in big games. And I was like, finally, because I've been the same way. This is one of my original gripes with Budenholzer. But I think what I think was happening was, yes, a little bit they were conserving him, but also I think we saw I don't remember what game it was. I mean, Brook and Giannis were awesome together in that old scheme thing. And I think the scheme was working. And I think Budenholzer is a guy who ultimately loves the scheme, loves his ideas, right? And what if he gets just a little taste of that working? I mean, we saw it. We saw it in Game 7. The Bucks, the way they play in the regular season is give up a lot of threes and give him nothing at the rim. And he reverted to that instead of I don't even know what you could have done, played a little more man-to-man, just been like, Giannis, you have to do this for us. But I think that's the answer, is that ultimately Giannis has shown that he'll listen to, he was defending Budenholzer when Budenholzer was playing 25 minutes in losses to the Raptors in the playoffs, right? He just rolls with whatever his coach wants to do.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I totally understand the Bucks scheme. It's surrender threes to guys that you are okay with taking them, protect the rim at all costs. Brook as your bulwark down there defending the rim, and then Giannis flying over,
roving, being a free safety, basically.
Yeah, I get it, and you're right. It's been very effective, but it is kind of wild though when you look at him. You're like, all right, here are his like matchup minutes for the postseason. Al Horford, 49. Grant Williams, 21. Vooch, 18. Patrick Williams, 15. Jaylen Brown, 9. Tatum, 9. Derek White, 9-ish. Caruso, 9-ish. Smart, 8-ish.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a murderer's row that he's out there guarding.
No, absolutely. And I think part of it is like, I just think it's what you said. He was I think it was Budenholzer reckoning with the fact that he's everything offensively for them. That without him, and it's like his plus minus minutes are fucking crazy, in the playoffs, obviously. And this whole series, it's like he's out. I'm just holding my breath every minute he's out. But I really think it has something to do with trying to preserve him. And also, I think in a weird way, if the wing defenders were better, I think he actually would do more. He would be doing more of that. But when like Wes Matthews is your like plan A for Jason Tatum, like that was plan A. That wasn't like Wes will come in and do it when, Middleton or Drew is fucking tired. It's like that's who's starting to guard him. I think it was just like, I just think they're like, those guys are going to get fucking burned on matchups. And this is the only way we have a shot is if the scheme works. And I think Giannis, like I said, he did it more in the regular season. I think he wants to do it. I don't think everything we know about him is he does not shy away from anything. He was fucking missing. That's
why he takes all those dumb threes.
Yeah, that was killing me for sure. But I
actually thought that kind of cost them. Maybe that was game 2. I forget exactly, but I think it was 2, where it was very close. And then Giannis just had a couple possessions where he chucked up a 3, took a couple long 2s, and on the Celtics able to lead, and then the Bucks lost it. I was like, I know you only have a finite amount of energy, and it's tough to say every possession down, I'm just plunging into this thicket of defenders.
Yeah.
But dude, just don't take those shots, man.
I'm with you. No, believe me, I hate those shots, and I think it's like, I think what we saw was the more we're talking through it, what we saw is a little bit of like reverting to like what the Bucks were pre-championship in Game 7, where it was just like, because Giannis in the regular season, he had cut down those threes and he was figuring out his mid-range. I mean, I think he shot, in the 30s, like in a decent like.
He was not bad at them. You're right. No. I mean, they're not what he should be doing by a comparison to him dunking on someone's head.
Of course, he shoots 80% at the either. Yeah, he shoots 80% at the rim. He's shooting like 37 from mid-range, but it's whatever it was the best percentage. And also, I think he has expanded his game outward a little bit. But I just think it's like what we're dealing like. Those floaters are looking nice. The Dirk shot he's doing is looking nice. He's got a little push shot, and I think he should be focusing on, if you want to take a fucking jumper, it should be like, all right, maybe it's like a foul line like level, but it's not threes. I think he should be. And sometimes I thought if he cut and found a little hole, go ahead and take a fucking jumper or take your big ass arms, try and get a floater going. But yes, I hated the fucking 3-pointers. I think he was tired, but
there was one in particular where he just kind of stepped in and took a super long 2. And like, everyone I was watching it with was just like, oh, as he put it up, it was like, no.
Yeah.
If you're going to take it, then at least take the 3.
Yeah.
It's like, I got like a 19-footer here. For your ass.
And at the same time, in that comeback, like a Giannis 3 was such a huge part of it. So it's like, and you can't ever tell him no. I mean, he's the fucking superstar, but I do think like if you're Budenholzer, you got to be like, let's expand our range from the cup out, not like we got the cup and then we're going to start at 3 and try and meet there. You know what I mean? From the outside in, but that was tough for me. But the thing I wanted to really get at is I want to show blame. I want to push blame to the ownership and to the front office here, because are you telling me fucking PJ Tucker and Dante DiVincenzo wouldn't have been useful in this fucking series, you pieces of shit? The fact that PJ Tucker wasn't re-signed, especially when Bobby Portis took a pay cut, is just fucking ridiculous. These fucking piece of shit They're Wall Street guys, whatever they are, hedge fund guys that own the Bucks. They couldn't pay
private equity,
just the worst, the vampires that are getting rich by fucking, finding a company that's working well and being like, what if we took away maternity leave? Oh, great. Like they just buy it, slash the cost.
The ones who own the Sixers, they made, extra millions by like shorting shopping malls during the pandemic.
Yeah. They got to close down beloved mom and pop stores. But at least a number in their bank account gets bigger. Anyway, it's shameful that PJ Tucker wasn't re-signed. Bobby Portis took a pay cut. You would have been in the luxury tax, but it's like, how long however long the trade to New Orleans is still happening, you should be competing hard as fuck. It's not the Giannis window, but it is a little bit the Drew window, because Drew's, I think when it comes down to it, maybe the best defensive guard in the NBA, and it's like you got Middleton was hurt. You saw it. It's like the window can be precarious. So one of those three gets hurt. I think Giannis gets hurt. I don't think this team could ever truly compete for a championship, but it's like, if one of your other two big three gets hurt, you need to be able to fucking patch that up. And the fact that Tucker, who, sure doesn't bring a lot on offense, but it's like the Bucks were fucking down to play like, 90s basketball this series. And I thought it was smart. I thought that's what you have to do in a situation like this. Tucker would have been really fucking helpful, to have. And then, listen, whatever you want to say about DiVincenzo, he could have played George Hill's fucking minutes. Like the DiVincenzo would have had at least, DiVincenzo's not, I thought the league kind of overrated him when it was the Bogdanovich trade. Like I was shocked that was possible, but it's like people seem to believe in him. I think he has like whatever that nebulous, he's a winner type shit, played for Villanova, like knows, has been in big moments, isn't scared at least. Like I do
some sort of sprezzatura.
Yeah, he's got a little sprezzatura. He does have that white trash Italian swag. And like for them and Serge Ibaka to trade for Serge, which I guess at the time was like Brooke Lopez insurance, but they did it pretty late. And it's like, guys, shouldn't you have had a handle on whether Brooke was going to be there or not? And I don't know, like they were so thin. Another higher level guard would have been. You
know what I say to this? Quit your belly aching. You got a title last year.
It's true.
You are still the champion until
that's
new
true.
One. And a non-fraudulent one at that is crowned. You're still the champ. And you have the Middleton excuse. I don't want to hear all.
You're right.
This
the Middleton excuse is nice.
You got a championship and you got an excuse. What more do you need?
Yeah, you're right.
Greatest things in the world. You're living high on the hog, NBA wise.
I know it's because I'm a Giannis fan, right? Like if I'm a Bucks fan, I feel like it's a little different. The city's got to be happy, but Giannis, it's like I was talking myself into. He wins one right here. Look what he's on pace for. He's on pace for being the GOAT. I'm talking myself into these kinds of things.
I hear you. They're going to have a chance next year. They're going to be a top 3-4 team. I mean, we'll see how free agency shakes out, but they're going to be right there again.
Yeah.
As long as they're healthy.
Anyway, you're right. You're dealing with more strife. You're dealing with so much more strife. Let's go. Let's get into that. Let's get into the Sixers, and then we can clown the Suns together. But got to be tough over there. Exactly. You're right. I'm belly aching. The next year looks bright. The next few years look bright for Giannis and the Bucks. I don't think the same can be said of the Philadelphia Sixers necessarily. It's an interesting time. Harden's out there playing like a solid point guard. Like a fringe Eastern All-Star point guard right now.
Kind of like an Ish Smith role.
Yeah. It's like, he's Ish Smith with better court vision. But yeah, it's looking tough. Joel already, kind of did the same thing he did to Simmons. Not as bad, but he did say that's not who he is anymore. Like, he
said
wild.
My man's is rinsed. my guy over here is like washed.
He's like, he can still do some stuff. And that's why it's like, sometimes as much as I love him.
He hobbles great now. Yeah. It's Kane. He can reach things on the top shelf, slide around.
He's got a lot of knowledge.
He's become so wise.
He's a wise player. It's funny because it's like as Embiid is cool, but obviously he's been let down by the organization. They've completely mismanaged the process, whatever. But on some level, Joel also feels a little bit like a company man, where it's like he's trying to get fucking Harden's number down. If your center is talking about this guy's not who he is, like your star player is basically arguing for Harden to take less money, to not take the fucking max, because Embiid's like, I'm gonna need some fucking role players because you're a fucking old, you're fucking Andre Miller right now. Harden really is a fucking Andre Miller.
Who's this DJ Augustine ass point guard we got here? I thought this guy was a former MVP.
So it's just fucking strange. And they're talking about they don't want to get rid of Doc. And I thought Doc actually coached pretty good for parts of both series, actually. But ultimately, I don't know. Ultimately, what are you going to do? You know, it just, that series was just not going your guys' way. It didn't feel like.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit about something you just mentioned. This idea that you know, Joe is the good soldier. He's the saint.
Yeah,
he can do no wrong.
Right.
Everyone else lets him down.
Right.
Paragon of strength and virtue in Philadelphia, and he is just continuously disappointed by the pussies around him.
Yes,
the coaches let him down. The front office, the backup centers, Ben Simmons, Harden, Tobias, like Danny Green getting hurt by Embiid. Everyone's always letting him down. He's just there, leaving his heart on the court, and you could ask no more of him. Like, I'm like, maybe. Because if you go back and look at his numbers in the games when they've been eliminated, he's played poorly in all of them. Right. And I'm talking about the 3 times when Philly was a contender, not the Boston series without Simmons, not the one against
Raptors,
neither Boston.
Raptors, Hawks. Yep.
And this one against Miami. Those were teams that Philadelphia fielded that could have won titles. They were there. They were really good. And I look around, I'm like, Joe's had a lot of talent next to him. You're like, all right, he's had Horford, Simmons, Butler, Redick.
We can take Horford out of there.
Covington. I'm just saying, Horford's on an Eastern Conference team right now, you know? He's had a lot of good players. He has not been, this lone soldier out there fighting the good fight without reinforcements. He's had guys around him,
Particularly that Raptors series, I think. That's the one that's got to hurt the most.
Yeah, totally. But what I'm saying is, I look back at those. I wrote these down the other day.
Yeah, hell yeah. You got the fucking notepad out.
So this game, the one they lose the other day,
I love this. Go off.
He's saying we need more Jimmy Butlers and PJ Tuckers. He sounds like you. He's over there. We just needed a PJ Tucker. Everyone around me is just a pansy. Look at them all. Look at them. Look at their faces. They're scared, or not like PJ Tucker. Okay, but you went 7 of 24. All right.
Okay.
The prior year against the Hawks, 11 of 21, 8 turnovers. Go back to that Raptors series, 6 of 18 with 4 turnovers. My thing is not questioning Joe's talent. We know he's great. We know he has heart. We know he wants it more than anybody else. But he doesn't trust his teammates. All these games, when you get deep in the playoffs, you're going against better defenses, more talented big men, more cunning coaches who are devising plans based on shutting you down. Spo, the guy's an evil genius. You saw what happened. They had Bam Adebayo, Defensive Player of the Year candidate, on Joe. You have help on both elbows. They're fronting him in the post. They're fronting him at the top of the arc. They're running devious, like blindside, double teams, triple teams. And Joe's like, cool, I'm going to chuck and flail my way through this. Well, they're setting you up to fail, man. It's like they're giving you a finger trap, and all you're doing is just yanking. And that's something you're intimately familiar with.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yanking and yanking.
You just gotta fucking keep going. Head down, yank, brother.
I'm just saying, Joe, I'm going to use this word and it sounds like moralizing, but I'm not.
Okay.
He plays selfishly. And I mean that as a description of his game, not as an indictment of his soul, whether as a person or a basketball player. I'm just saying he plays selfishly.
Yeah.
He took 24 shots in that game. Clearly they weren't good looks. Clearly he wasn't hitting. He only had 5 passes that were what they call potential assists, where teammates got attempts off of that. You look at like KD in his elimination game, 15 passes that teammates shot off of. Jokic, something like 12. 5? 5? You got a fucked up face. You got a fucked up hand. They're throwing 3 defenders at you. and you managed to make 5 passes in 40 minutes that your teammates were able to get a field goal attempt off of. I don't know, man. Like, I think Joe has to say, I am this great, but it's okay to rely on your teammates. You can't say, if I have a bad game, we're going to lose. That's just not cool.
Right.
You can't say
that's
the
fair.
responsibility, the fate of the team is on me, and it's going to rely on me taking 18-foot jumpers with 3 guys draped all over me. That's just not how you win basketball games in these moments.
That's true. No, that's a great point. And I do think, especially this series, especially like it's a testament to him that they had to play him the way he did with a broken face and a fucked up thumb ligament, right? The fact that because like sometimes when a star is hurt, you kind of want them to be, sometimes there's like, well, he can at least be a decoy, right? And usually that's bullshit, because usually if a guy is that hobbled that he has to be a decoy, people are going to figure it out to some level. But Embiid played so well that he literally could have done exactly what you're saying, especially if you're and no one would have been mad at him for passing more with a fucked up hand after he's gotten the shit kicked out of him by the Heat for 4 games or whatever. And yeah, I think you're really right. And I think this one in particular is
give me
really,
a little
really
judo
tough.
here. You know, the Heat are going to throw these defenders at you. We've seen Joe be an excellent passer for these kind of like weird couple week durations where he focuses on passing and he's just delivering dimes, you know, like baseball passes, diagonal to the corner for threes, behind the back things. And then he kind of stops because I think it's kind of clear that he doesn't really love passing, but he can do it. I don't buy that he doesn't like read the defense. He isn't, you know, he hasn't played the game that long. Joe is really smart. He's super cerebral. He knows exactly what's happening, and he just would rather chuck up a contested fadeaway than pass the ball to Tobias Harris. Like, I get it. I understand where you're coming from, but you know, look, there are certain guys I play basketball with. They don't mean to be selfish. They just are. Push comes to shove, they'd rather take the shot.
And it's interesting because that is part of it, is like, that is kind of like the old school superstar model of like, the team lives and dies with me. And I think he actually probably gets credit for that from some people, because there is like an honor to that. There's like being fucking, you know, the gladiator who's like, I'm going to win this for you. Because like if Joel goes out there and has an insane game 7 and it all falls, everyone is sucking him off left and right. But it's, you know what it is? He's a home run. It's like it's a home run swing. And it's like, let's get some fucking doubles here, bro. You don't have to be the fucking home run hitter every time.
Well, I think what you're describing really accurately depicts sort of the schism in the way that the fans viewed Simmons and Embiid. That Embiid, he'll go out there on his shield, Simmons won't.
Right.
It's like, well, which one's the one missing the shots?
You know,
but I think that is a large reason that Embiid was beloved and Simmons was vilified even before, you know, his vanishing act, you know, the Hawks.
Also, Simmons' vibes are off, dude. He just seems like he's just like handsome in that unlikable way. Like Ben Simmons' face is like he'd be like in a Van Wilder movie, he'd be like the rich guy that you're the cool girl, the art student that like, you know, she's like, what are you so afraid of to leave? You know, it has the one-on-ones with Van, and it's like, oh, maybe I love her. And it's like, she's dating Ben Simmons, who's, you know, has a yacht, is like, you know, about to be a finance bro. Like he's got that face of like, he's got like
at some point, then she takes her glasses off and she lets down her hair, and lo and behold, she's incredibly beautiful.
Yeah, and she's had these huge tits she was hiding the whole time. But yeah, I think that's a little bit of it. The Australian, handsome in an aristocratic way, which he does have. He's got that sharp nose, you know. That's like there's just some. He just feels like a college Republican, even though I'm sure he's not.
This sounds very little like the Ben Simmons apology that he's owed.
Yeah. I know we're dealing with one of the world's biggest Ben Simmons truther here on this podcast.
Look, it's Ben solidarity all day.
I get that. It's Ben solidarity.
I found out recently that Benny the Butcher, the rapper from Griselda's real first name is not Ben, and I'm just like,
wow, what is it? You remember?
I don't know, Chad or something.
Yeah, Chad the Butcher doesn't have the same ring to it. Anyway, look, you won't get a full-throated Ben Simmons apology. I see what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, you know, But at the end of the day, Joel was missing the shots, but Simmons wasn't taking them either. Like somebody does have to take the shots.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I'm not saying this in any way to even criticize Joe. My main thing with him is my specific criticism with him is that when teams ratchet up the defense and really aggressively scheme to take away what he does best, and that is what the Sixers do best, and that's Joe scoring in the paint and getting to the foul line. And when teams say, we're going to take away your shit in the same way that Boston kind of did with Giannis, like what else can you do?
Right.
And I feel like Philly has had the talent to do other stuff, but Joe is kind of resistant to allowing that to happen.
Now,
That's
hold
kind
on.
of what I'm saying.
I get that. But also this year, it's like, isn't this the year where it's like the talent kind of fucking dropped off? Like, it's like this was a tough year. I totally know what you're saying. And especially because of his injury, but it's like,
and I think Joe deserved MVP. I'm just saying, to be clear here. I'm a big Joe fan.
I know that. I know.
I think he was spectacular. I'm just saying, I think
Sixers,
he could be a little more savvy in dealing with advanced level playoff defenses.
Yeah, but I get that. I also just feel like I think it was a kind of a culmination of two things where it's like, you're right in that like he should be doing that more, but also it's like, well, it's like this year it's like Cork Moss is playing fucking 20 minutes a game. You know what I mean? Like the hobbled ass Danny Green, like George Niang is your fucking, he's playing, you know what I mean? He's like, he's your 4 in your best lineup. You know what I mean? It's just like they lost. This was the least deep team. And then you lose some of that depth trading for Harden, who is not the complementary scoring player that you were looking for. So of all the years that you're saying holds the most weight because of his injury and weirdly the least weight, because it's like this team especially, it's like there ain't no Jimmy Butlers or Ben Simmons you could set up to dunk. There's no fucking there's no Reddicks. There's no like the shooting is just not as good as it used to be. Even it's like they've really fucked this roster up, and I'm very curious to see what the plan is in the future because they don't have.
I think
they're not defensive like they were.
I think there was a rumor that they'd be trying to, get a third star, and that was part of Harden taking less money. I mean, Morey's always scheming the star edition things.
Of course.
It sounds like they're talking about a Lillard or a Beal or a Levine or whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know if that solves any of their problems. It kind of seems like the same team.
Not at all.
Virtually.
Not at all, yeah.
But here's a question that I want to pose to you.
Please.
Was it a coincidence that James Harden vanished in a playoff game in the same way that Ben Simmons did, considering same coach, same offense, same co-star, virtually the same supporting cast? Is it a coincidence that both of them turned extremely passive late in a playoff game in the half-court offense?
Here's the thing. I don't think it's a coincidence. I see what you're saying, right? Is like that. Is Joel the kind of guy? Is Doc the kind of guy?
Also Tobias, Maxey, the whole thing. The whole thing.
I see what you're saying, but I also think this is like when your friend keeps dating bipolar women. You know what I mean? It's like the Sixers it's like they're attracted to the people that are just the worst for them. Right? Like it's like I think on some level, like Simmons, just his style of play didn't match up. That's the reason. It's like a little mentality, but it's also style of play. And Harden, it's like it's not theoretically it's not style of play, but it's like I've always loved Harden. I just thought he was fun and cool, like that he just became an MVP out of being, six man. That he's always at strip clubs, that he clearly would come in so out of like I just love when a player doesn't take shit seriously and he's an MVP, because clearly Harden is not in the hyperbaric chamber like LeBron. Harden ain't spending $1.8 million a year on his body, right? He's tossing $1.8 million a year
in other people's bodies.
Yeah, exactly, in other people's bodies. And I've always respected that, but I think there is no way you can fucking look at him and say anything but he's the fucking regular season superhero playoff fraud at this point. Like it pains my heart to say that. And I do think with Ben's, like, I hate to get sports Republican right now. I do, but it is a little bit, I really believe that it's not sure there is like structural factors pushing the number 2 in this situation to this kind of role where it's like it's Embiid dominant, it has a little bit to say with what you have to say. But I just really think these guys are their brains were so uniquely not suited for this situation that it's like a fucking tsunami. And truly, what the Sixers team has done, it is going to be the best 30 for 30 ever made. Like this team, when you go through the insane shit that has happened in the last fucking, you being at the center of one of it, like Colangelo.
I'm familiar with
yeah. But like the Colangelo burner, like, are you kidding? The Markelle Fultz, like Ben Simmons won't shoot in the half. You trade him for, like, here's my point. I see what you're saying, but I say if they get CJ McCollum in this deal and some other stuff instead of Harden, he's shooting. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit what you're saying, but it's also the player they chose.
I think you're right. I also say what Simmons and Harden have in common is that they are basketball geniuses.
Yeah.
And the other guys on that team are not. It's weird that the guys who are the facilitator, savant understanding of the game, guys who have this spatial awareness, elite level passers, maybe amongst like the 10,
Sure. Yeah.
And
Certainly,
I really blame Doc.
Yes, certainly they could have been used differently, and it's like it's a matter of
you have those guys. You have to say you have a remarkable skill, and we need to figure out a way to unlock that and cultivate it. Whether that means, hey, Joe, you're going to have to spend a little bit of time just standing in the corner in a Brook Lopez role, just because it's going to help us in a big picture. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to lead the league in scoring. We're just going to need some possessions.
No,
it's going to be Harden time. We're going to spread you out and do this. Or Simmons, whatever. They're interchangeable in this way because in both cases, they're dribbling the ball off the court. They're doing a little dribble handoff to Maxey or to goes up.
Right.
And after the game, Harden's quote was about his passivity was the ball never got back. It's not wrong. Everyone else on that court who touched it, it was going up.
Yeah. I think you're right in terms of there is something with Doc where it's, and this happens with a lot of coaches, particularly the older school ones, where it's like you're just not being realistic with what you have, right? It's like Simmons is not going to be the guy he's not Tatum, right? He's not going to fucking shoot like that, but he has skills. Harden, whether it's he's washed or he's older and he's got a nagging injury that won't get better till next year, he's not going to be fucking Rockets Harden. So, but he's insanely good at his assists. Or if you watch that team, it's like you're like, whoa, some of these assists are fucking crazy.
I mean, for the record, I'm on the fence when it comes to Harden rinsedness. I mean, 1 year ago, let's say 13, 14 months ago, he was a rising MVP candidate before his
agree. I'm not ready to say
ancient
that.
History. He was great.
Fully.
But also when he's been around guys who score, he's generally kind of a tissue facilitator. He did that in OKC. Then he went to the Rockets and they were like, all right, this is your show. He went to Brooklyn. He went back to his facilitator role until Durant got hurt. And then he started going crazy, putting up 38, 15, 10, whatever.
Right.
Goes to Philly. He hasn't really had a chance. They don't really do any lineups that are Houston-esque.
Right.
Candy paint.
They don't even get They don't even let him. Yeah, they don't let him do it even for like 10 minutes a game. But I think that you're right. It's like Doc is like, let's filter this in for the Pod Don't Lie audience. Doc's got a little penis and he doesn't want to admit it. And your sexual plan, if you've got a little dick, can't be to long dick him. And Doc refuses to eat pussy. He refuses to learn advanced finger popping techniques. He refuses to do any of that. He thinks he's going to, and it's like, well, you just can't pound someone with your fucking barely 5-inch dick. You got to pick up other skills, especially when, I've got a fucking awesome big, now the analogy is falling apart, but Ben Simmons, it's like trying to use a tongue and try to like flatten it out and like fuck someone with a tongue instead of licking the
dildo. a dildo.
Yeah. Maybe, yeah. Maybe you got to get pegged. Maybe that's maybe you got to think things through. You're like who knows how we're gonna make someone come in a different way, and all he knows is pound. And it's like, you don't got the facilities for that, but you got a luscious tongue up there. Why don't you eat a little pussy? And he's like, no, the tongue is going to stand in the dunker spot the whole time.
No, but so what you were saying is accurate in that I think you could swap in Luka Doncic for Harden, and you might get a weirdly similar result.
Interesting.
Play over here and chill out.
Okay, that's
only because these guys have a very specific skill set and a way that they have played their entire lives, which is give me the ball, clear the floor. And like, that's how Simmons played. That's how Harden played. Again, if you put you put LeBron there, he would have, of course, the like gravitas to say like, get the fuck out of here. Tobias, Maxey, you go over there.
Yeah.
But these other guys don't. They're like normal guys. And I thought when Harden went there, he would have a kind of draconian control of the offense in the way that Simmons never was able to do, because he and Embiid were peers and, other people were older than him. But Harden kind of relinquished it the same way and said, all right, everybody's chucking. You don't want to see what I can do. You don't want to spread it out and let me do my little 1-2 thing. Step back three. Even though we won a game, even though we just won with me doing that. Okay. All right. I'll just flutter along the sideline while Tobias Harris takes 20 shots.
I think I see what you're saying, so and Luka's a good way to fucking transition to the next games, because that's a perfect example to me, because it's like he has a very similar skill set, and I think maybe that would happen for one game or two games as he's getting used to it, but like back to comedy or back to fucking
what if you put Embiid in Tobias Harris?
Sports Republican, he's got that dog in him. He's gonna do. He's gonna fucking do. He's not. We've like transitioning to their series. It's like that's like. In fact, Jason Kidd had a quote which was Harden was taking. Took a stray. I'm sure you saw where he was like, we've got to get him, push him away from Harden and more towards LeBron. We got to get his habits. He was like, he's Harden. But it's interesting.
I saw that quote. That was a good quote.
It's a good quote, and he's right, because like when Luka came into the league, the comparison was Harden, like for a lot of people, because fucking just kind of he does, and at points he does do that. He's just, and Harden is also
stylistically. I think Harden is kind of like a child of LeBron without just incredible physique and athleticism. And Luka is a child from the same lineage who was kind of tubby and didn't necessarily have the athleticism of LeBron either. So he was like, he's a Harden baby. And I get it when like, well, maybe you could like lift a weight. Just any weight, just lift one up.
Absolutely. It would be. I mean,
see a star with like less arm definition. Than me.
I know. And him just hitting those shots. And I also think like Harden. I don't know if Harden comes back from like. You gotta love Luka doing this after he got fucking. What was that, game 4 where the game plan was victimize Luka, was like put him in pick and rolls over and over and over again, literally embarrass him.
I can't remember if that was game 2 or 4.
One of those though. Yeah, it was one of those. And for him to come back and like figure, like, I mean, also huge credit to Jason Kidd. They were like, everyone was kind of aware to help off Luka, like to like, it was just interesting what he was. I'm too dumb to put into words what he was doing, but it was like people were always on the lookout for the possibility that they were going to do this to Luka, and they were like everyone was more aware of Luka's matchup in addition to their own, and also credit to the Mavs for being able to pull that off. And that is a weird development where it's like, and Luka had the fucking spirit, and I mean, we saw the fucking shots he was hitting, and he does. In the Jordan quote way, it's like he takes a lot of shit personally. You could tell. I mean, imagine how it must feel if you're Luka to fucking have that embarrassing ass playoff game, and then also books talking shit. They're being fucking smarmy little fucking bitches about it, in that they're looking at each other, and then it's like after those moments, after they fucking like shit on Luka, it was like it was a different fucking series after they did that.
And in some ways, you know, he reminded me of LeBron against the Pistons.
Yes.
That year when he kind of made that breakthrough, and you're like, oh, all right, you're the guy. And now, okay, you're the guy. Like, we knew you were great. We knew you were a superstar, but you just took out maybe a championship favorite kind of just by the force of you being better at basketball than their
right.
Like, I know. Yeah, their team is sick. Yeah, that's great. But I'm just better than all of them.
Yeah, just we're better. And it's like the matchup doesn't make sense. Like, this should on paper be exactly the kind of team that can defend Luka. Boy, was it not. Like, it's like,
Bridges. That's a good point. That's a good point, because you look at that team, like Mikal Bridges, defensive player of the year, runner up. Yeah. And then it's like Chris Paul, little guy, but, you know, obviously an all-time great defender as a guard.
Yeah.
Jay Crowder, solid defender.
Exactly.
They were built with the perimeter defense to, you know, give someone like Luka problems.
Yeah.
and they just didn't.
And his career numbers, he's only had 23 playoff games, but it's like, this is his fucking, it's 32.7, 9.3, and 8.3 assists in his first 23 playoff games. And he was matched up against the Clippers with Kawhi and Paul George twice, almost beat them the second time. And then he was matched up with the Suns.
Suns, a top three defense.
Like, he was injured. Imagine how he pads his stats against the fucking Jazz if he's like fully healthy from the jump. Those are this fucking kid's stats against three teams that you almost built in a lab to defend him. And the Clippers early in his career gave him problems, and then he just went back at him. I mean, like, Giannis is gone, so now I have to fucking get on something. And like, I do love Luka, obviously. And then it's like, and so I'm going to be fucking, the Mavs are the default team I'm sort of rooting for at this point, because the Warriors can suck my dick, obviously. The Heat, I'm rooting them to beat Boston, but it's like, I don't fucking give a fuck about the Heat. And then, so Luka's really my shining hope of like, because I like to root for being around for great moments. And it's like, what really sucks is this could be a big legacy thing for Tatum, and I'd much rather see it be for Luka.
Well, I'll tell you, my nightmare scenario here is a Celtics Golden State. I've got nothing.
Oh, I hate that, dude.
Honestly, I knew they were the teams, and I was like, wait a minute, a very possible, maybe even likely result here is Celtics Warriors. I'll be reduced to rooting for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Like, what a fate! What a terrible fate for me.
This is shaping up to be just a brutal. I mean, if that's the final, I'm not even joking.
Give me Heat Dallas 3.
Yeah,
I'll pretend I cared about the prior one.
I am so in
finally,
Dallas 3.
The rubber match.
Yeah. These kids were some of them weren't born when the first one happened. But it's like, but they're still bringing that fire.
It's like Haslam on all these teams.
Yeah, yes. Udonis is the only link. But seriously, the Suns completely fell apart, and this feels a little. And then it's like the 8 thing. Like, what the fuck was that about? Where he didn't play he played like 14 minutes or whatever the fuck it was. And Monty said it was like internal, which is like, what does that mean? Like, does Aiden know he's not getting paid and he's already quit on this team? Like, like a year ago, I mean, and this team crumbled from within. Chris Paul had all those weird, it was like, if you're a Chris Paul hater, this must be delicious. And I'm not, I'm agnostic on the whole thing. Like, I don't fully hate. I mean, he's annoying. He's a snitch sometimes, but it's like, I have a little more in my heart for like except for flopping. It's like, being a crafty motherfucker, like, I rooted for Harden. Like I said, a lot of people are like, don't you hate the fouls? It's like, whatever. It's a potential skill. And I see that Chris Paul, I mean, he's a great point guard, obviously, but I don't take joy out of this like it was the Celtics or somebody that fell apart, or the Warriors even.
Yeah, no. Chris Paul has legions of haters. I mean, for me, I feel like Chris Paul might have been a top 3 player of all time if he hadn't blown out his knee. Yeah, I mean, early in his career, he was also this explosive scorer.
That's true.
Like crazy athlete to go along with all the other attributes that have now come to define him, which are
great point,
defense, great hands, league and steals, floor general, basketball genius, all those things. But he was also just a crazy athlete who could like soar and had springs and was so fast. So like I feel like if you just had that version of him for like another 8 years, and now that we see how his longevity is and how he's been able to, like a season and still be excellent despite his poor games late in this series, I feel like he really could have been one of those like goat type of guys. Yeah. But that said, like I don't really like root hard for him. I think he is incredible, and I respect him.
I'm in the same boat.
When I want him to win, but when he loses, I'm always like, it's fine too.
Yeah, exactly. I know, it is kind of funny. And his elimination
short culture, I don't really understand it. I can only, kind of like laugh at it. I just don't get what it's like.
Down here, it is. Yeah, I mean, Pat Bev can also suck my dick. It's like, please shut the fuck up. It's funny. It's funny to like he was like I respect it as a hater. Go ahead and get your fucking licks in, Pat Bev. It's the only day you'll be able to fucking be employed for basically being Chris Paul's hater, but just you stink. He was fucking horrible. He's completely like, he's just like, I think
who are you?
He's so overrated, even in the like, oh, he gave this team spirit. It's like, shut the fuck up. He's annoying. He's not like a leader. He's like a fucking like an instigator. It's just like the Wolves were just, and also it's like Anthony Edwards is the guy, even though he's younger, he's the reason for the spiritual turnaround of the Timberwolves. It ain't fucking Pat Beverly's bitch ass. Who anyway, whatever.
I kind of like Bev too. I like all these guys.
I don't like Bev. He's so like he's like everything you hate. Like that's the funny thing about him is like take everything everyone says is annoying about Chris Paul and filter it. That's Pat Bev's game.
Okay, that is actually the trait, and it's wild that he is so angry at Chris Paul.
Yes,
he does actually
embody
all of his bad characteristics
with none of the generational talent.
Not actually being a great defender.
Yes,
flopping, jawing with people, taking cheap shots. Like he actually is. Yes, like the evil side of Chris Paul.
Fuck Pat Beverly.
That's one of your greatest observations.
You bring it out of me, man.
Talented stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, let's quickly. I don't know how long we're doing. I haven't timed the podcast, but let's quickly talk about, I guess, like what we see happening in the matchups, and then I think we can fucking be about. I'm gonna go get me a little brekkie. I'm sure you got a beautiful day planned, Benny boy. But let's see how we see and also. Yeah, I guess we should talk about the Heat a little more than just in pure passing. Let's start there.
The Heat are also so known, right?
Yeah,
I think Strus being out there gives them a different element. I don't really believe in Miami as an offensive team.
I don't either.
I think Lowry looked really bad when he did play against Philly. He was reduced to just kind of like flopping around on his luscious ass.
Yeah.
He didn't seem to be able to do anything except like bobble around on that BBL,
He didn't do shit but take those cheeks out on a stroll for everyone to see. And if he's not healthy, it's like Gabe Vincent is really going to take you to the finals. I mean, he's a nice player.
He doesn't have cakes like that.
He doesn't. His ass cheeks are fucking lacking, sorely lacking in comparison.
No ass at all.
I think that's what really pains me is that like, I just don't believe in the Heat. And it's like they just still feel like a regular season team, except for Jimmy. Jimmy's the one guy who is completely like, he starts shooting threes again. It's like, Jimmy saves all his threes up for the fucking playoffs. And whatever you want to say about that guy, it's like that fucking guy does show up like truly in the big moments. Like he's there, but
dog
truly has the dog in him. And I just, the rest of the Miami Heat, I think Bam's good, obviously, but it's like, yeah, where are the points going to come from against an insane defense? I mean, listen, everyone's talking about what a good job they did on Giannis. He fucking averaged almost, he averaged 38 points, whatever he did. They didn't do that good a job. Relax, Marcus. Wins can suck my fucking dick.
Middleton wasn't even there.
Middleton wasn't there. But it's like, against the Celtics team, it's like, where do the points come from Miami when they can just – and Doe's a fucking good coach. That's the other thing. It's like, this guy is fucking – he's a really fucking good coach.
Hey, man, he was Brett Brown's assistant. The Sixers had him in the building. Could have hired and said, all right.
Is haunting these guys. So I begrudgingly, I just don't see how it happens for Miami. And I just don't see a path where the Celtics don't get to the finals.
Well, what I like about Miami in this situation, and I don't really have a prediction in that way. I just mean, Tatum has been able to kind of feast on smaller defenders or slower defenders in the first two series. I don't think he's faced like a credible wing defender yet. And
that's a good point.
And I think, Middleton missing as we've repeatedly said.
Yeah. Listen, Middleton, but
I'm looking forward to Butler on him. I think that'll be a good test of Tatum's abilities to go against, a high level wing defender. Butler is smart and he's tough. He plays hard. He's big. I think that will be more telling to me about Tatum as this superstar that the Boston media mafia has been trying to present him as for years versus him going against like the amateurs of the who Milwaukee was forced to play in Middleton's absence.
When Wes Matthews did a great fucking job. I gotta say, I love Wes Matthews. I thought he did fucking great, but it's like, again, we should have kept Dante. We should have PJ Tucker, and we should have Middleton. And that's a lot more depth. You're asking a lot less of Wes Matthews. If Wes Matthews could come in fresh, guard Tatum for 15 minutes a game, that's a big fucking difference. But you're right. I just wish Miami.
I like Wes Matthews. I'm glad he was able to cobble together his career after Achilles injury. He stuck around longer and been more useful than I thought he'd be. But I mean, we're talking about a guy who is almost 36.
Yeah. 36. With a fucked up Achilles being the most notable thing that happened to him in his career. Yes. You're right. That's good. That gives me some, but it's just like, even that, it's like Butler's got to do everything for their, like, I wish he was going against like just a team that just had a defender that like, cause Butler's got to score for them. I mean, who the fuck else is going to be, especially if Lowry is hurt. And of course, in the first round, they played against the Nets, and the Nets had no wing defender. That's true. Great point.
Bruce Brown.
This is Jimmy's time to shine.
My hope here is that Tatum will be exposed, and Tatum's exposure of Tatum will then lead to exposure of the Celtics.
Yeah. We can cling.
That's where my head is at.
We can cling on to it, my brother. That's good. And then what do you think about Warriors Mavs? This is a weird one for me. This is a strange matchup. I don't really know. Walk me through what you're thinking.
I'm just going to stick with my theory that Luka's emerging as that guy.
Yeah.
That we kind of have taken him and his ascension to greatness for granted.
Yeah.
Like, okay, he showed up. We know he's going to be a star. Maybe he's not as good as we thought. Maybe he's great, but he's got these flaws in his game. I don't know. I'm at this point where I look at Golden State
and who defends him.
Really good defense. But 2 years in a row, they've had a great team defense. But I look at all those guys that he's just going to cook on the perimeter. I'm like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Iguodala food,
absolutely.
Looney food, Poole food, Clay food, Curry food.
Yeah.
Dre can't guard him for a full game. I just mean, that's not something you would
of course
wish on your worst enemy, but it's
right.
Draymond Green, who's going to be playing mostly the 5.
Yeah. I can't, I'm thinking like who, and it's like, I mean, on the flip side, it's like Dallas has played pretty good, like good defense with Jason Kidd as the coach. And I think they could do like, it's like, it's the reverse where it's like on paper, I see the Warriors have a great defense, but I just can't see it in person because of what you just said. It's like, who guards Luka? And that's kind of the flip side where it's like, the Warriors should be able to score a ton of points on the Mavs, but I just think like, I don't know. They've shown some fucking like, I think they're going to hold up. And we've seen, I mean, the Grizzlies were good, but they weren't that good. And they gave the Warriors some fucking problems. So I think I'm with you. I see a path where it's like Dallas just defends a little better than you expect them to. And no one can fucking stop Luka. And I could see it.
Golden State's offense, and it's strange, and it's always been sort of jarring to realize that they're a much better defensive team.
Yeah, with this personnel,
even with the return of Curry, it's just sort of like what?
Yeah,
but I don't think Clay can really defend like he used to at all. I think
at least not this year. I'm with this is a similar thing, Harden, where it's like I want to see with him with the full.
Yeah, no, I hope he can get back to there. I'm just saying, realistically, he doesn't seem like he has that ability to really. Remember how he used to kind of get parallel and move with guys, and he had enough height that he could bother their shots and stuff. I just don't think he has that lateral movement anymore.
Yeah,
but Curry also seems hurt. I don't know that it's just age or mileage. I know he's coming back from an injury, but teams. I do believe that modern teams have gotten better at guarding those kind of players.
Sure.
Teams just have more perimeter talent. They're used to chasing guys up high. He is also the greatest shooter of all time, and he just doesn't seem quite as good this year in that way. And maybe it's a combination of these things: injury, better defenses, his age.
His team's not as good.
Theory.
Yeah. I mean, he had that stretch. Remember, when was it? Like January, February, where he just fucking missed. He was missing. Yeah. I mean, his percentages were fucking dog shit for like 2 weeks. He looked like shit. It was, that stretch exists. And I think you're right. He does seem a little, there's something off. I mean, it was to the point where it's like, that huge game they had in Memphis where their offense just like creamed them. It kind of felt a little bit like that Harden game where everybody was like, this is fucking it. This is how it happens. And it's like, well, why hasn't this been happening? Why is this only one? Like, yeah, we know that's one of the possible outcomes is the Warriors just demolish a team on offense, but it has literally only happened once this playoffs. And, was it that impressive if they only do it once or two? I mean, I don't remember the first. Right.
We know Curry can go nuclear. Like we have seen this before many
but
times.
It hasn't, but Clay can too. And Poole's been so important to them that it's like, it's like, I don't know. There's not the one guy you fear like there is on every other playoff team. I mean, and I know that's crazy. Golden State is going to be like, Steph Curry is the best, whatever. But it's like, he hasn't struck fear into my heart these playoffs yet. I think, the Grizzlies without Josh shouldn't, I mean, you should have gotten that done.
Yeah, that was a wild
last loss. It's just, I mean, that's crazy. And it wasn't like they fucking lost they got the shit kicked out of them by the fucking backups. That's fucking that's an embarrassing loss.
It is.
Like,
I also feel
the Suns have taken so much heat off everybody, but it's like that was
true. I also do think that Golden State they're kind of old. They've been through this before. They're like, all right, so we're going to lose this game in Memphis and we're going to go back and win at home. And so that's the plan, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. We're all on board.
All right. Well, I'm going to take this one off then.
All right. We're down 15. Yank the starters. Yank.
Yeah, just yank. Yeah. Mike Brown will yank. Anyway. All right. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. I think we fucking covered it. I think we really went through the fucking NBA. And I'm going to hope
the listeners are just so much more informed right now. The knowledge.
especially listeners from the Boston area. They're informed and happy to hear what we had to say. So that's going to do it, folks.
My team is a fraud.
Yeah, sorry, Celtics, you're fraudulent. Enjoy the Middleton asterisk, you piece of shit. That's gonna do it for us, gang. I'll be back with a Patreon later this week to recap the first few games of the conference finals. Thank you, Ben. Where should the people find you? Anything particular? Of course, Cookies Hoops.
And Andrew and I, we do a similar basketball culture pod.
Yes.
Called Cookies Hoops. We got some merch, and we together wrote a book called The Joy of Basketball,
That's
which
right.
you can find in brick and mortar stores online or wherever. And it's a lot of the kind of bullshit you just
in
heard.
Print. It's a great book. I've bought it. It's honestly become a go-to gift for like when I know someone's a basketball fan. It's like a perfect. It's a sick. It's
love giving it to people. So if you've been divorced and you got some kids somewhere,
killer stepdad
on brand,
killer stepdad gift. Like you're not giving yourself enough credit. That's a high level stepdad that buys that book. All right. These are not replacement level stepdads. These are the ones you actually you think about, but ultimately don't feel comfortable calling him dad. But you at least think about it.
Really
that's the level of step
value of a replacement parent.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. In fact, some of the upper echelon ones, they might even call them dad. That's the level of stepdad we're talking about here. You don't even call him by his first name. That's the kind of guy that's buying you this book. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate it, brother.
Man.
And talk to you soon.